Michał was only 39 years old. He was shot dead in one of Stockholm's southern neighborhoods. He was killed in front of his 12-year-old son after drawing the attention of an aggressive group of youth.
To była egzekucja tak nieprawdopodobna.
It was an execution so unbelievable, so brutal and horrific that we have seen such things somewhere in South America or in countries where this crime is not civilized.
Nie ma cywilizowanego charakteru.
Flowers were laid at the scene by Swedish politicians, including Centre Party leader Muharrem Demirok. The case was also addressed by Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson. The facts in this case have not yet been confirmed, but if this information is true, it is absolutely horrifying. My thoughts are with the victim, the little boy and their family. The grief is great, but so is the determination of our government. Residents of the area are in shock. When a civilian is killed, and in such a brutal way, it is terrible, especially since this is near the city center and children go to school here, including mine. Local newspapers say that the Polish man had previously contacted the police about youth groups that deal drugs. He did not succumb to desensitization. He paid for it with his life. It was so unnecessary. Why did he even turn around? He could have just gone to the pool with his son and ignored what those kids were saying. But that's just the way he was. He didn't like injustice. I don't feel anger. I just feel that it was unnecessary. They shot a person, but to them it probably means nothing. But that person is gone from this world. The parents lost their son and have to bury him. My wife, his sister, lost her brother, and his son, who saw everything with his own eyes, will be traumatized for the rest of his life. According to the media, the neighborhood where the man was killed is overrun by immigrant drug traffickers. I live 1 kilometer away. Last year, there was a shooting opposite my balcony. Lots of police. They shot someone. Every now and then, you hear that there are some attacks here in the area. Immigrant gangs have been terrorizing Swedes for a long time. Sweden has been inundated by a wave of very violent crime for a long time. And it's crime using firearms, explosives, gang warfare for drug influence, human trafficking, and other illegal actions. Already in 2015, the president of Law and Justice Jarosław Kaczyński warned of the tragic consequences of a misguided migration policy, precisely on the example of Sweden.
Jeżeli ktoś mówi, że to nieprawda,
if someone says that this is not true, then let that person look around Europe. Let them look at Sweden, for example, 54 zones where Sharia is in force, and there is no state control. At the time, civic platform politicians and their foreign allies mocked these words. However, history has once again proven Jarosław Kaczyński right. Since the beginning of March alone, there have been 2 other shootings in Stockholm district, in which 1 person was killed and another wounded. I, for one, do not feel safe here, and am already on my way to leaving this country altogether, moving somewhere else for the sake of my children. The police have launched a murder investigation. So far, no one has been detained, despite speculation that a gang of immigrants is responsible for the Polish man's death. Police are not providing details about their nationalities. There is some sort of top-down silence on this subject. I have yet to hear anyone say that some immigrants did it. It is not known who did it. It always happens that no one knows who. Similar standards are also beginning to be applied by some media in Poland. We have unofficially learned that according to the new rules for editing dispatches in the Polish press agency is to omit the nationality of the perpetrators of crimes, especially if they are immigrants. Konrad Wąż, TV Republika. Warsaw's Wilanów. In October, 52% of residents here voted for Donald Tusk's party. Most of those interviewed, despite their support for the civic platform, don't want illegal migrants at home. Do you have any idea where a migrant camp could be built here in Wilanów? I think nowhere. Who did you vote for recently in the last parliamentary elections? For the civic platform. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's peaceful. You can even go out in the evening and take a walk, and I think it would shatter the order a bit, so to speak. Who did you vote for recently in the last parliamentary elections? For Mr. Trzaskowski. People come here to have nice neighbors. For to be nice, and the migrants aren't nice? My husband and I lived in Germany and came here to Poland to not have migrants. There are migrants in Germany who have a different culture and don't assimilate, and they form their own groups. But of course, there are also those who repeat the theories propounded by civic platform politicians that migrants include poor people that need to be helped. However, when asked if they would welcome an illegal migrant under their own roof, they answer, "Would you accept any migrants from Africa into your home? I have too small of an apartment to take someone in. For some short period of time, yes. Permanently, no, because I don't have conditions. If you don't take in these migrants, there is a fine of 20,000 euros for one. Would you pay for this out of your own pocket?" Out of my own pocket, like any Pole, reluctantly, but I could pay some part from my earnings for this purpose. Near Wrocław's Jagodno neighborhood, we heard, where in Jagodno should a refugee center be built? Far away from here. Not here? No. Nowhere. Let Tusk take them to his place. You don't want migrants here? I don't want them at all. Let Tusk take them with him. Donald Tusk assures that there will be no agreement on a migration pact that involves the forced relocation of illegal migrants, but will he say no to his friend?
Migration is a European challenge which must be met with a European solution, one that is effective and both fair and firm. And this is what the Pact on Migration and Asylum delivers. It will be making a real difference for all Europeans.
To będą setki tysięcy.
There will be hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Africa, Muslim and Asian countries, because this is an indefinite mechanism and can be increased at any time. But Germany's head of the European Commission is pushing for the pact. This is not surprising. After all, Germany, specifically Angela Merkel with her famous open door policy, is mainly responsible for the migration crisis in Europe. I hope Europe is up to the challenge. It is necessary to create a refuge for refugees as soon as possible. We must stay away from xenophobes and far-right movements. Do not allow the example of those who are full of prejudice and have cold, hateful hearts. Do not listen to them. We can handle it. Germans thought illegal migrants would be cheap labor for them. They miscalculated. Foreign newcomers do not assimilate and are often a threat to Europeans.
To jest gaszenie pożaru benzyną.
This is putting out a fire with gasoline. It won't increase the safety of Europeans, and it won't help the migrants who end up in Europe. It will only encourage smugglers to bring more and more illegal migrants into Europe, because they know there is money for that.
Wiedzą, że są na to pieniądze.
The Polish right-wing warned the same way 10 years ago, but the PO-PSL government ignored these voices, submitting to the policy pushed by the Germans.
Trzeba będzie jakby wykonać ten ruch.
It will be necessary to make this move and probably open up to the proposals of the European Commission. In a sense, our involvement in this plan includes taking out a certain insurance policy in case, God forbid, things get worse. As a country, we are prepared for virtually any number. For any number? You mean for 50,000? As a country, we are prepared. The United Right government changed our country's migration policy and did not allow forced relocation. Tusk, as head of the European Council, criticized this in a bid to force Law and Justice to change its decision. This will lead to certain consequences. These are the rules in Europe. We have heard very often, in recent years from Donald Tusk, this kind of admonition that Poland does not accept those solutions that are adopted in Brussels and directly violates the rule of law. After all, this is what the battle has been about for the last few years. This is what Poland has been vilified for by these politicians from the European People's Party. Now again, mainly by politicians from the European People's Party, to which the Civic Platform belongs. A migration pact that is dangerous for the entire community has been adopted. Adrian Borecki, TV Republika. Motions have been made to reject the bills in the first reading, which I will now put to a vote. 2 bills were submitted by the left, 1 each by the Civic Coalition, and the third way. Whoever is willing to raise their hand and press the button. All of the 4 submitted projects passed for further work. We have returned to the topic of abortion which the current ruling coalition is presenting in 4 drafts. This just proves that the current ruling coalition lacks cohesion and unanimity on this very issue. All 4 bills will now be handled by a special committee. It will consist of 27 members, women alone.
W koalicji 13 grudnia nie ma stanowiska zbiorczego.
There is no agreed position in the current government to make any of these projects to be voted on in the parliament. This is a bit like pulling the wool over our eyes. One bill decriminalizes abortion. 2 others make abortion legal up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. And the last bill calls for the restoration of the abortion compromise.
Będziemy wszystkie procedować i będziemy się starać wypracować.
We will proceed with all of them and try to reach some kind of consensus here so that each side will be able to vote in favor later. Yesterday, while deputies were debating projects in the plenary chamber, a protest in defense of life was held in front of the Parliament building. And this Sunday at 12:30 p.m. local time from the Castle Square in Warsaw, the National March for Life will set off under the slogan, Long Live Poland. Maria Twardzicka, TV Republika. It took 8 years to prepare an environmental decision for Poland's first nuclear power plant at a location in Pomerania. The decision has the rigor of implementation, but the new government is nevertheless auditing the case. Supporters of the investment are anxiously awaiting the conclusions, since any change in the environmental decision could mean delaying the investment by up to a decade. Meanwhile, the General Director of Environmental Protection has once again delayed the deadline for a final decision on the matter. The audit is being conducted in connection with a complaint filed with the General Directorate of Environmental Protection. The objections concern location and technology. Any change of location will mean a delay of years. The official position of the government is that the power plant in the Pomeranian region will be built and on schedule, so it may come as a surprise to see actions affecting the delay of the investment, such as the audit undertaken at the Climate Ministry. Without a nuclear power plant, Poland will be doomed to import more expensive energy. The first unit of the nuclear power plant would start operating in 2033, with the next 2 units to follow within the next 3 years, providing there are no delays. Completion of the investment is expected to provide up to 40,000 jobs and lasting energy security for Poland.